How to play Subway Line. Each player gets a map and a pencil. On the map, you can see the city symbol, the different subway lines, each with their own letter, the points you get for completing a subway line, and at last but not least, a place where players can count their final score. Before the game, the cards get shuffled. Then each time a card gets turned, the players will act as follows. If it's a basic card that has a number on it, the players fill in that number in an empty window. Then they cross off as many stations on that line as that number says. Players cannot randomly pick any stations they want on that line. They have to cross them off from the start of the line and progress towards the end. If a player arrives at a station that is already crossed off on that line, by previously adding crosses to another line, for example, they can no longer add any crosses, even if the number on the card is larger than the number of crosses you have already drawn. There are some special cards in the deck. This one, for example. This means you can skip over an already drawn station. There is also a plus card. This means instead of a number, a player writes a plus in an empty window. The player then goes to the first empty station on that line and writes the number of how many lines cross this station. He then draws a square around this number. This can get a player points at the end of the game. Another special card is the free ride card. This means a player can cross of any station he wants anywhere on the map. He does not have to fill in a window in order to do this. The last special card in the deck is the number 6 card. This one acts as a basic card, but after everyone has filled this in, the deck gets reshuffled. The game ends when the players no longer have any windows they can fill in. A player can score points for finishing a subway line. The first player to do this gets the most points. All other players to finish this line in the future get the lower points. A player also gets points for his transfer stations. Those are the stations that wrote a number in and drew a square around. He adds up all the numbers and does this times 2. These are the points he gets for them. At last, a player counts the number of stations he hasn't crossed off. He divides this times 2. Those are the points he has to deduct from his total. This way, all players know their final score. There are 4 different maps the players can use. Each map adds a slightly different twist to the game. Like a subway line that goes in a circle, players can choose in which direction they cross off stations. There also is a map that has special stations. When a player crosses off these stations, they can immediately reuse the card they just played. Finally, there is a map that combines these 2 special features. And that is how to play Metrolijn.